Hi guys, I have a new project to share with everybody. It is the Goddess wire wrapped bracelet. It's very fun. We're gonna do the hook and eye clasp. For this project you want 20 gauge wire and 22 gauge wire and some 8mm beads. Then for your tools, you want cutters, round nose pliers. I'm going to use my bail making pliers or looping pliers. And you want like flat or chain nose pliers. That's all you'll need for this project. So for the 20 gauge wire, you want to cut a 12-inch piece. I've found that 14 beads makes a good size 7-inch bracelet. But regardless, you're going to need 12 inches. And you want to smoothen and straighten out your wire. Make sure there's no bends or kinks in it. You can use a wire straightener. I have my nylon tip pliers. I'm going to use these because they are just a very good tool to have. I highly recommend getting some nylon tip pliers. Then I'm using my favorite stone beads. These are Tibetan agate DZI beads. My favorite color is green, and Tibetan agates are I just love them a lot. So I'm just gonna cut my strand so I have some beads to play with. Yes, I'm just gonna let them go everywhere on my tray. For the 22 gauge wire, that's what we're gonna be using to frame the beads. You want 36 inches. So that's 3 times the length of your 12-inch piece. Okay, so I have my 36-inch piece of 22 gauge wire. It's just one long piece. You want to make sure that this piece is also nice and smooth. As smooth as you can get it. There is that. That is what we need. So we're going to start with our 20 gauge piece, and we want to make this loop right here. So from the end, doesn't matter which end, I am going to go 1.5 inches down the wire and make a 90-degree angle. Just like that. Then you're going to take your round nose or looping pliers. I'm going to do a small loop. So what I'm going to do is I'm just putting pressure on the wire and bringing it around that mandrel on my pliers. Then I'm going to hold this and I'm gripping the wire and turning the pliers so I can make that crisscross. And this way too, you're centering that circle on top of your wire. Then I'm gonna keep holding this for me. You can take another pair of chain nose and grip like this to grab this end and coil it around the wire. Everybody's different. Everybody has different ways of doing things, but I like to continue to hold my loop and bring this wire around. So this is called a wire wrapped loop. Then I can probably go ahead and grip it like this to get the rest of that end around my wire. You want to get that pokey end nicely conformed around your wire. Then my loop came out a little sideways, so I'm gonna straighten it out a bit. If you need to tidy up your loop, you can always do that. Make it more centered. Okay. So we have our loop. This is our main bracelet piece. This goes down the beads, down through the beads. So now we're gonna grab our 36-inch piece of 22 gauge wire, and you wanna bring the ends together. So we've got it in half, basically. Now you don't wanna fold it. All we're doing is just crisscrossing and pulling to create this little loop. Then you're gonna grab your 20 gauge piece of wire with the loop that we just made and put it through. Then we just need to tighten that, and it's gonna sit right underneath those coils. Like that. Then what we can do is add our first bead. We're adding our bead on the 20 gauge wire. So you should have a 22 gauge wire on the left side and a 22 gauge wire on the right side. Whatever side you decide to start wrapping with first is the side you're always going to start with. Meaning, I'm going to start on my right side. I'm bringing the wire down the side of the bead, and I'm applying pressure on the wire that's on the bead so I can pull this around the underside of the bead. You don't bring it all the way around. You're literally just doing like a half turn around the center wire. Here's what it looks like on the underside. And you're going to do the same with this wire on the left side. And I'm applying pressure so I can nicely pull it tight and coil it around the underside of the bead. Just like that. Now, when I said you want to start with the side you decided to start on after you put your bead on, I'm going to point that out right now. So we're putting our second bead on. Again, I'm going to start from my right, on my right side. And I'm applying pressure on the wire so that I can bring this around the underside of the bead. And you do the same with the left side. So you start to get this effect happening here. So that is basically the pattern. So you get however many beads you need on. And I'm just going to keep going here. So bringing my wire down the side of the bead, wrapping it around the center wire, right underneath the bead, making sure it's tight. You're always crisscrossing over the center wire. And you want to make sure it's tight every time. I'm going to add another bead. It gets a little bit easier as you work your way down, because the longer wires get shorter and start to become less in the way and flopping around. Bringing my wire down and around, always on the same side, so my front side, our front side I should say, because we're all looking at the same perspective. So I've learned, if you are a 7-inch wrist, typically you want to do 6 inches of beads, because that leftover inch is going to compensate for your toggle or closure piece. And in this case, we're doing a fish hook and eye clasp. My friend taught me how to make this bracelet. She has a beaded version of this design. Her channel is Tam's Creative Journey. She's also a great teacher. She's got 30+ years of beading experience. So you guys could give her channel a visit and check out some of her tutorials. But Tam, I just want to give you a shout out for teaching this design to me and helping me learn it so that I could pass it forward. I will drop her handle in the description. But this is what we have so far. And I hope you guys are enjoying this so far. I'm very much having fun. Especially since I'm playing with my favorite beads. And it's really simple. Once you make a couple of them, you'll have it down in no time. If you are a beginning wire wrapper, this is a great first project to play around with. If you're not sure where to start. So let's see where I'm at. I have about almost 6 inches. I'm going to add another bead. And I'm just going to add one more. Because not everybody is a 7-inch wrist. Okay. So we have our bracelet. The next thing we need to do is we're going to flip it like this, and we're going to continue the pattern 5 times without the bead. So it's the same thing, starting on the side you started with. In my case, it's the right. We're just doing this without the bead. So that's 2. This is my 3rd time. It starts to create this crisscross weave effect. This is my 4th time and my 5th time. I'm gonna try to get it so you guys can see it better. Please ignore my gimp finger, you guys. I have a gimpy finger. But you should get this crisscross effect. Then after that, we're gonna work on our hook. So about an inch, let me see. From the end of your bead, of your last bead, 1.25 inches up the way. I've found that that makes a great hook size. So about 1.25 inches up the way, we're gonna fold it down. And what we wanna do is get this piece completely in half. So I'm gonna use 2 pairs of pliers to do this, so I can grip this and get this folded in half. And it takes a little bit, so take your time, because sometimes it can just twist on you. There's no rush. So this is what you want right here. Next thing we're gonna do is take our cutters and we're gonna flush cut right where the crisscross weave meets up with the end. Then we're gonna do a couple more crisscross weaves. So I would do 3. Because then we are tucking in that end and it's being hidden. 1, 2, 3. Then what we're gonna do is you're gonna bring these wires sticking out kind of inward, and we're gonna flush cut them, but you wanna leave just enough room to where the pokey can go around this piece and not to be sticking out. So you have this little space in between these 2 little crisscross weaves in here. You can get that pokey in that little space. I highly recommend going to Harbor Freight and getting these tweezer nose pliers because they are perfect. They're in the electrician's section. They're like $9. So now we have all of our excess wires out of the way, and you can use your round nose or your looping pliers. We're gonna bend this out first. So let me use these so you guys can see better. I'm gonna bend this out just a little bit. Doesn't even, call it like a 45-degree angle. Like that. Then we're gonna use our looping pliers. I'm gonna use the 2nd largest. And we're bending this around the size loop that we want. like that. And you can roll it backwards if you need to. Now I'm gonna leave mine here. This part is not, it's not absolutely necessary, but it does give it a nice look. So you're gonna take that tip and just bend it outward a little bit. There, now you guys can see that. Then you're gonna take out your looping pliers, and then we have a nice hook. So then it doesn't really matter which way you bend your bracelet. A bracelet mandrel is very helpful. I do not have one yet. So I just, you know, hook everything together, and I just kind of pull on it and mess around with it a little bit to get it into a bracelet shape. And if you need to, you can close up your hook a little bit. But there we have it, a wire wrapped goddess bracelet. That was a blast. I very much hope you guys enjoyed this video. I say this in every single one of my videos. I'm open to any feedback. I hope everything made sense to you guys. This is a great basic wire wrapping project, and I have a blast making these. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. I'm always working on coming up with new projects and fun things to share with you guys. Again, I recommend getting a pair of these tweezer nose pliers from Harbor Freight. They are in the electrical section. They're like $9. They're very nice compared to your typical chain nose pliers because they're very thin and you can get into smaller spaces. I also recommend getting these nylon tip pliers. I got these ones off of Rio Grande. They're really amazing. But I recommend getting a pair of those. Anyways, I appreciate you guys so much. I will see you again soon with another project. Catch you later.